Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we wonder who administers the driving tests in the Mushroom Kingdom. Goria of Tantari stole our trophy, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society stole the trophy with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, we are celebrating our favorite Nintendo merchants. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I was just looking up Goria of Tantari to see if we know anything about this character.
I don't think that we do. So that's the, I mean, you feel free to tell me if you think that we do.
No, I don't think so.
This is obviously all of our opening quotes are from Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. The trophy in question is the trophy that you need to retrieve in order to get the jump spell, I believe, that you return it to them, and then but it's like out in the desert, and I don't know that Goria is a character, and I don't know if Tantari is a location in the game or not.
Okay, you're right. I'm looking it up. Goria of Tantari is not a thing. It is like, it's not a single entity.
Okay.
Gorias or a Goria are enemies in the game.
Got it.
And then Tantari is
the desert?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But no, Goria of Tantari is just such a great name.
It feels like a Star Wars name,
It
right?
does.
Like,
yeah.
I am Goria of Antari. Tantari, whatever. Doesn't matter. Mark, I went to see a movie at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery last night. And for those of you listening right now, it's a real thing that happens. There's a cemetery, like an old Hollywood cemetery in the middle of Hollywood.
Yeah, it's right behind Paramount Studios.
That's right. On Santa Monica Boulevard, right? And so they will hold screenings on the cemetery grounds. You're not sitting on graves, but you are very grave adjacent. Saw the movie Clueless. Breckenmeyer was there. It was great. But two things that I just wanted to say about the experience of going there. We paid to park like actually on the cemetery grounds. And while I was walking from the parking to where the screening was, I heard a because there are live peacocks in Hollywood Forever. Mark, were you aware of this?
No, I didn't know that.
It's like a show of like really old-fashioned Hollywood extravagance that there are just peacocks that are caged at night and then roam the grounds during the day.
So they're cared for.
Yes.
By like
that's right.
the staff.
Right, and they're there like intentionally and like they're there on purpose.
That's beautiful.
So A, that, B, because Hollywood Forever is a very old cemetery, and it is a cemetery, the roadways are very narrow. And when they are parking people for these Cinespia screenings, they have people park on like either side of these very narrow roads. And so as I was leaving the parking area, he was like, "A small car, you go that way." And I was like, I don't think my car's that small. Like, it's not quite an SUV, but it's not an SUV. And so like I go the way that he recommends, and I reach a point where I'm like, I physically don't think I can fit between the cars here.
Oh.
And so I like have this moment where I gotta like back out and like turn around in like this very narrow kind of space. And I was like, I'm not gonna make that. And he's like, "Sure you will, man, just believe." And I was like, nope. And I turned around and went the other way for the larger vehicles, which also felt tight. The point is, you gotta listen to your gut.
Yeah, that's right. That's the moral of the story.
That's the moral of the story.
For sure, yeah.
Because, okay, someone tells you, like, no, you'll fit. But he's, like, commanding a bunch of cars to go.
Right, and it doesn't really matter to him if you do or not.
I mean, it would ruin his night if, like, I got in an accident there and, like, totally blocked that artery of traffic. But,
I guess that's true.
That was a stressful experience. I didn't like it. But I loved going to see the movie and hearing the peacocks roar at me.
Yeah, I've actually never seen a movie at Hollywood Forever.
It's fun. But if you would like to support us in our movie-going habits, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS Arcade.
Yeah, it's the miniseries we're making our way through right now. We are on Season 3 of NCS Arcade, where Patrick and I talk about games that we've never beaten before, but we play them first. An important distinction.
Right. We don't just make it up.
We are going to be talking about Wario Land 4 for the month of May, so that episode will be recorded in just a few days.
Yeah, very exciting. Very excited to talk about that. We just released our listener feedback episode on Okami, which was the game that we played for April. That's available for everyone. So
yeah, that's right. So the way that it works is that we record an episode that's this NCS Arcade episode that's exclusive to our 8-bit and 16-bit patrons. But after we do that, we answer listener emails about the game, and that episode is free for everybody.
So if you are not following us for free on Patreon, you should head on over there right now. Become a member. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, follow us.
Whatever it is, do that. Don't give us any money unless you would like to give us money, in which case give us money. But if you don't want to, you can get that episode for free, as well as all of the listener feedback episodes that we've done for previous episodes of NCS Arcade. And I forget how many of those we've done.
Yeah.
We've done some. We didn't start off doing NCS Arcade with the listener feedback.
Nope.
So that came around later.
Yeah.
And there's no way to check for us right now.
Yeah, you're right.
If you are not already in our Discord, you should be, because we're all going to be talking about new Switch when it launches in a matter of days at this point.
Crazy.
Email us Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com,
and we will send you an invitation to the Discord. You can also be using that email address to send us some questions or topics for our 866 episode. You get the premise of this. We do a segment called 433 where we don't talk about Nintendo for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For our 433rd episode, we did a whole episode of Not Nintendo. Now we're double that, just a couple weeks. So send us your topics about anything but Nintendo.
Yes, any questions you have for us about anything that's not Nintendo related, and it may end up on the show. Thank you so much to everybody who has already sent in questions for 866. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I agree. So yes, keep sending them in. All right, Mark. Let's. Oh, you know what? We had a little debug here. I am doing this out of order. So here we go. Or it's not so much a debug, just a reaction to one of the things that we were talking about with the GameCube on NSO last week. Mark wrote us an email, and it's not Mark Mitchell here. It's another Mark, a listener. Thank you for writing, Mark. He says, "Hi, Patrick and Mark. Love the show on the NSO GameCube things that we're excited about, and I'm very excited to play it on my Switch too. I heard Patrick mention that he'd love a Game & Watch NSO app. I think there may be something to this, as I've been checking in with the Nintendo Today app, and virtually every day they show a clip of a different Game & Watch. Today's is Zelda." He wrote this on Sunday. If they weren't going to do anything with the Game & Watch series, why do they keep going back to it every other day on the Nintendo Today app? Also, the Switch 2 is bigger, so those clamshell Game & Watch games have more room to look better. I really believe this will be the next collection. Keep up the great work, Mark.
I mean, that would be awesome.
That would be incredible. What like a cool, strange thing. And I remember seeing like one of the Nintendo Today pieces being about like Ball, right? That Game & Watch game, and being like, oh, weird that they're highlighting Ball. But yeah, is it possible that they are leading up to Game & Watch?
It would be great if they did something with Game & Watch. If they made, if there was some way to play Game & Watch games. Yeah, that is interesting. I had seen those too, Mark, and I had never really thought about the implications of that. Like, why?
Right.
Why highlight Game & Watch stuff?
Because they're not just like randomly highlighting other old games, right?
Right.
Like, they're showing a lot of like GameCube stuff and Switch 2 stuff.
Or things that are like part of a popular series.
Yes.
Like, hey, here's like art for Oracle of Ages and Seasons. But that's available on NSO already.
Right. We did also get, Mark, I don't know if you're looking through the Discord for it right now, but I made an offhand reference in the last episode to Subspace Emissary being a part of Super Smash Brothers Melee. It's not. It's part of Brawl, which would have been on a future Wii NSO library and not the GameCube one. I believe it was Connor who caught that. And I gotta say, I'm so embarrassed. it's so embarrassing that I got that wrong, Mark.
It's okay. Thank you, Connor, for keeping us honest, though.
Yes, thank you, Connor. All right, Mark, are you ready to get into what we've been playing this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have that much to say because we both have been playing Wario Land 4.
Yeah, I finished it today.
I finished it yesterday.
So, ready to talk about Wario Land 4 for the Patreon. But I feel like a little bit at a loss of what I should do right now because I am in the mood to game, but the Switch 2 comes out in like a week. And of course, I'll be sinking some time into Mario Kart World. I think I'm going to do a Breath of the Wild replay.
I'm thinking about doing Breath of the Wild.
But, and so I'm kind of looking for something in between. I never played the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, but that doesn't seem like something that I really want to start right now.
Right, with only like a week to go.
Maybe I will do like jump back into Stardew Valley. But I've also been looking at this Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, because it seems to be getting pretty good reviews, and a lot of people are playing it, at least on Steam. So I don't know, is instead of playing Stardew Valley, should I be picking up something different? Should I pick up something new? I don't know. I guess what I'm asking is if anybody has been playing Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, and has any opinions on it, let us know. Write in.
Write into Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com, or let me know in the Discord. I would just be curious if anybody has any thoughts on it. If I like games, like Stardew Valley, like, does this seem like a good fit?
And I mean, I do like the way it looks. Like the level 5 does a really good job of like invoking these like anime aesthetics that are even a little bit more specific, right? Like they have their own sort of like anime house style, which I think is pretty good. And the game itself looks like it's gonna run pretty well and probably run even better on Switch 2 when it comes out there.
Yeah, we know there is going to be a Switch 2 version. I was also thinking, should I take this opportunity to play the Super Mario Advance games? Because we were just talking about it like last week, and I've never messed around with them before.
I mean, because they are all ultimately games that you've played before, I don't think it'll take you that long to like mess around with them.
Yeah, so maybe to be the perfect like week
yeah.
long gap thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It is funny that we're both considering doing a Breath of the Wild replay with the launch of the Switch 2.
I know.
But I guess what I'm thinking is like, I'm getting Mario Kart World, and I think I'm going to put a significant amount of time into that. But unless it really surprises me, I don't think of like Mario Kart as a super kind of like meaty experience.
Yeah.
And so meaty's maybe not the right word, but I guess in my mind there's like a distinction between a Mario Kart, which feels like more casual, more play a little bit, set down,
right,
versus like a Breath of the Wild that you can really sink a lot of time into.
Right. Well, and especially with Bonanza coming out in July, that it's like it feels like that's the big single player like dig into it kind of experience. But I still think like we don't, and maybe people who are more plugged into like the Nintendo treehouses and what have you do have a real idea of this. But I feel like we don't have a clear idea of what like the moment to moment single player experience is really like
in Bonanza.
Right? In World. That like how compelling will it be to like do some races and then be like out in the world and like finding things and will like triggering one thing like sort of like ping a little thing in your brain and like is there a quest log, are there like how are you approaching what the world has to offer? I do think it could be structured in a way that makes it super compelling as a single player experience. And like I don't know, does Nintendo have like something to prove with that price point?
Right.
Like I don't know if it is truly just like an open world Mario Kart game where there's like optional stuff to do in between the tracks, and it's mostly like a game that you can play online or local or whatever, and you're racing, and that's the bulk of it. That may be enough, but is it a more substantial single player campaign experience than what people are expecting? We don't know.
The other thing I'm thinking about is like, should I play Cyberpunk? Like, should I play something new to me
Yes,
that is coming
yes.
out, like with Switch 2?
I think I am. Like I think I'm gonna pick up Cyberpunk. I'm a yeah. I don't know exactly what else. I'm what other roads I'm gonna go down, but I'm just sort of like open to the possibility that like other games will come to me and I will pick them up on Switch too.
That's how I feel. I mean, it's funny because a lot of the stuff that's coming to Switch 2 at launch exists on other platforms,
Right.
but I don't own like a PlayStation 5 or anything. And plus it's like that new console like launch window
Right.
excitement where it's like I've never bought a Street Fighter game in my life. Should I buy Street Fighter 6, Do you know what I mean? Where it's just like
Yes.
I am in the mood
Yes.
to graze. And so so yeah, I kind of just want something for now that
Right.
is just
that tied you over.
that just tied me over for like
Yeah.
a week. Yeah.
The thing about Street Fighter 6 is that there is like a pretty meaty like single player campaign thing that is like a lot of you running around Metro City and like taking orders and like getting into weird little fights
Funny.
with your player like creator character who can look as crazy as you want him to look, Mark.
Yeah. Ooh, I am excited. I'm excited for the Switch 2.
Hard to believe that it is but 9 days away as of this episode's release.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy stuff. All right, Mark, let's get out of what we have been playing this week. Which means we're in new releases. I don't know why I set that up that way.
Hey, it worked out great.
Yep.
So last week on Thursday, we got 4 new Game Boy games for the Game Boy on Nintendo Switch Online.
Mhm.
Ooh, we're also only 9 days away from starting to call it Nintendo Classics. Right?
Yeah, I think they call them classics now, but
with that big like Switch update, did
Yeah.
the changeover happen.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, Nintendo Classics, Game Boy.
There we go.
Gradius, Interstellar Assault, Kirby Star Stacker, Sword of Hope, and Survival Kits.
Some weird ones in here. I mean, first of all, like whenever there's a Gradius game, it's like, okay, I'm never gonna turn that on. Gradius is one of those like side-scrolling shoot 'em up, you're a ship kind of things, bullet hell kind of experiences.
Yeah, I wonder what that's like on Game Boy.
The footage from the trailer makes it look bad. But Kirby Star Stacker, is did Star Stacker come out on the Super NES Nintendo Classics?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think that I've ever played this one. It's like a matching puzzle game that
Yes.
has the like mascot characters from Return to Dreamland or something like that. I don't think I've ever played this one.
So that's there, and then Sword of Hope is a like sort of text-based role-playing game.
Oh.
So like there's just like a little graphic of like the area that you're in, and then like text that describes what's happening.
Oh, interesting.
And
I
then-
think. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was
No.
just gonna say I think Paul in
Yes.
our Discord just finished it.
Yes, that's right. And then there's like turn-based combat, like with those are the things that you encounter in the game. Seems and is a 1989 Game Boy game. Is like the first RPG released on the platform. And just a super early version of a Western, of like an RP, like a console Western RPG. So, super weird. Speaking of super weird, Survival Kids. Mark, do you know about this game?
No.
So this is from Konami, which is interesting because we were talking a little bit about how there aren't too many Konami games on these Nintendo Classics collections. So we were sort of like, okay, maybe we won't see Twin Snakes, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes on GameCube. This to me setting precedent that maybe we could. But it's Survival Kids is like your kids trapped on an island, and you like pick stuff up and like combine things to like start a fire, and then you put like raw meat on the fire, and then you eat it and you survive for a little bit longer. So when like kind of an early entry in the survival game genre, that obviously like Minecraft takes a lot of like its inspiration from like that sort of thing. And this is just a super early version of that on the original Game Boy.
And then Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo got an update for Animal Crossing New Horizons, a new theme for your Alarmo.
Yeah, and I have not since I unplugged my Alarmo for I forget why I had to though. I have not plugged it back in, and I'm just like, okay, great. But it's I wonder how many more themes we get for this thing. Because I think so we've gotten the original Super Mario Brothers, like the NES Super Mario Brothers, and Mario Kart 8. And now this and Mario Kart 8 and Animal Crossing were like the two that they said were coming.
Right.
And the Super Mario Brothers was sort of a surprise. But like, I don't know. Do you think there's what do you think Nintendo's view towards the Alarmo is at this point?
Yeah, it's interesting that, as to my knowledge, it has never come up in any of the earnings calls or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right? They're not like, oh, we count. They don't even say like, oh, we count Alarmo revenue as part of whatever.
Right.
It's just like Alarmo just hasn't been brought up. It's available everywhere, or as available as it's going to get, seemingly. Yeah, it would not surprise me if this is the last one, just because I don't know how much they want to support Alarmo or feel a need to continually support Alarmo.
Right. I wonder how it's doing now that it is like pierced the veil of just the Nintendo super fan, right? Like, who outside of that ecosystem is interested in spending $100 for this thing?
I know the price is definitely one thing, because if you're in Target or a Walmart or a Best Buy even, and you're shopping to decorate a room or decorate a kid's room or whatever, and you see this thing, basically what I'm saying is, like, if it's on a toy shelf or something like that, just next to other toys,
yes,
somebody might look at it, but I feel like they would balk at the $100 price point.
Exactly. Well, and if you're going through and it's like, like you're saying, like room decoration stuff, it's not pretty. Like, it's a weird looking red clock with like a weird button.
Well,
on
the
top.
box certainly doesn't sell it.
Right, the box looks ugly. So yeah, I feel like it's in between a rock and a hard place, and like ultimately is selling a product that's not that interesting.
But maybe it is like there's some like accounting reason or something like that, why they're like, we spent all of this money on R&D for like whatever, and we get to count it as capital expenditure if we release this product, rather than whatever R&D or whatever. You know what I mean? I wonder if it ultimately comes down to a really simple business reason for them to release this product. And it's not like the Alarmo is necessarily bad, I say as somebody who has never taken his out of his box.
You've never even taken it out of the box.
No.
You've never opened the box. You have the box. It immediately went in.
Exactly. It arrived and it went in my like Nintendo drawer thing where I keep my Ring Fit Adventure and all of that.
Great.
But yeah, I mean, still glad I have one, because it pretty clearly is going to be one of those weird Nintendo one-offs.
Yes.
That someday will show up as like an item in Animal Crossing. And it'll be like,
and
oh
you'll
my
be
gosh,
like, oh, I have that. Yes.
Yeah.
Too bad it never became, the third pillar or whatever. They don't even have a second pillar at this point.
Nintendo Music, no update this week.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in recognition of the holiday in the States. I don't know.
And then otherwise, as far as new releases go, there wasn't really anything that stood out to me. I think everybody is just kind of, holding their breath for Switch 2 next week.
Just kind of waiting for Switch 2. All right, Mark, let's close out the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of the show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark, I'll talk about something not only Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece.
Oh, I just want to take a moment to appreciate that you made it through that without taking a breath. It's something that you have imposed on yourself. But
I mean, both parts of it, both saying it in the first place and doing it without taking a breath. Mark, today we're going to be ranking playground equipment.
Yes.
So just right off the bat, what kind of stuff did you like to play on in a playground when you were a kid? Because I think this is the only way to approach this. Our adult brains don't do this well. We have to just remember how we reacted to these things as kids.
No, it's true. When is the last time you played with playground equipment?
I would say the last time I was in Chicago and my nieces, where we were playing on a playground there, which is mostly playing with them as they play on the playground equipment. But like even still, my like biases towards like which things where I'm like, no, let's not go on the slide. Who cares? The slide's boring.
Oh, interesting. I always liked the enclosed like tube slides that
Yes.
the spiral ones.
So
I always thought those were fun.
we had a tube slide, not a spiral one, but just like a metal one that it like had the texture of like several oil drums like stapled together, right? Where it had these like awful ridges.
Right.
Which we all called the pee slide because I don't know if we actually knew of people that like peed down the slide or if it was just like, you know, one of those like school rumors or whatever. But so I avoided that thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm sure at one point or another, every slide has been a P slide.
Yeah, I mean, what a great point.
Swings. I would say swings are one I always really liked. I always really liked teeter-totter. I think teeter-totter can be fun.
Okay, teeter-totter I feel like is always you got to really trust the person on the other side of the teeter-totter.
That is true.
And kids are jerks. So I feel like I ended up hurting myself on the teeter-totter more often than not.
Let's see. What other playground equipment?
Well, so
monkey bars?
I like a monkey bars. I like a very standard. So like, you know, there are a couple different like takes on this, right? There's like that like kind of dome thing, that like geodesic dome that has like all these like little triangles that add up to a dome. I think that thing's okay. But like my elementary school had this like monkey bars that like went up a level and then like went up again. It's the kind of thing that I feel like is just removed from playgrounds now because it's like so obviously unsafe that like you're climbing up so high and there's nothing up there to support you but the bars in your arms. But I loved that as a kid.
So did you use them to like basic training, you know, like swing your way across, or were you using it more as just like to climb all over?
To climb all over, but mostly to climb to the top and then just talk with my friends who had also climbed to the top. Because then it's just like, you know, you get to be like away from the other kids a little bit. I think like in addition to like that playground equipment, there's also like a tetherball pole, right? Or what's that game where like it's a bucket and it has like 4 different ways for the ball to come out and you like throw it up into the bucket?
Oh, I have no idea. I know what you're talking about, but I have never played that before.
I don't know what it's called. And then there are like Foursquare, but that's less of a
it's not really playground equipment.
It's not really equipment, it's just lines drawn on the ground. But did you ever mess around with like tetherball, or you said no to the basket thing?
Not really tetherball is too much. I mean, Foursquare, there was a period like 3rd grade, 4th grade, where everyone was super into it.
We also got super into it, and like it was just so weird that like you could bring your own ball from home, and like that was like it was just it was weird that everyone got really into Foursquare.
We at my elementary school for a while, we had a really large net that like that was in the center
that you would like climb
of the playground equipment that you could like climb on and like across, and then eventually I can't remember what happened. My memory is that, you know, something like teenagers or something had started burning one of the ropes.
Sure.
And so they ended up removing it entirely. Yeah.
And there's also sandboxes. We didn't rank these at all.
I think swings number 1.
Swings number 1, jungle gym, like monkey bars number 2, and then everything else just like under that. Mark, we were accompanied today by pianist Kyle Shaw. Mark, let's get into the news.
I just want to say before we entirely move off the topic of playground equipment, like a couple of weeks ago, I was in a public park and it had, you know, like a trail, and along the trail there were like fitness stations that had, you know, like a balance beam or a place that you could do sit-ups and that sort of thing. It had monkey bars, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go across the monkey bars. Like, I can do this, no problem. Those are muscles that I have not used for a really long time.
Yes.
I was able to do it, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is not something I do very often.
I mean, you also like weigh twice as much as the last time you did that. So like it's that much more mass you have to move.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was funny. how much it hurt. Okay, so like we've talked about, the Switch 2 is inching ever closer. We're so close. We're right on the cusp of the Switch 2. And with that, we're beginning to get all of these really specific details about how certain aspects of the Switch 2 will work. And
Yes.
this past week, we learned something a little bit interesting about Game Chat, which is that it's going to require a user to register a phone number for them to set it up.
Which is a good little bit of accountability, right? Nintendo has always been like kind of weird about allowing game chat on the Switch, in the name of the children play these things, and like it's super easy for like creeps to infiltrate that space.
I think that's 100% true and 100% the reason. Do we know, has Nintendo ever like officially articulated it, or are we just all making like I think a correct assumption, but I don't know that Nintendo has ever said that. It'd be interesting if they have, or if it's just like something that we've all assumed just because Nintendo, I think rightfully, is worried about the risks of being the ones that connect,
right?
Like children with strangers,
right? And which isn't to say that like children aren't playing games on other platforms,
100%,
and therefore also being connected with strangers there. But like, none of like the big three publishers courts children as customers as obviously as Nintendo does, right? So that is just like an obviously bad look for them if something bad were to happen, and I'm sure bad stuff does happen all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure that like with Swap Note or whatever,
totally, right?
Yeah. So yes, I think this is for accountability reasons. Parents will also have in fact, they will have to. Parental controls require parents to approve which friends children can game chat with. So if you have the like parental controls app, then you can control it that way. Game chat is not intended for communication with strangers.
Yeah, even by adults. So like you will only be communicating with people who are in your friends list, which I think was like sort of stated during the original reveal of Game Chat, but is maybe just worth reiterating that like, again, in most other games, when you like go into a lobby where there are people playing a game online, you will be exposed to the whatever voice chat is available with people you've never seen before. You don't know that they're real people. That won't be the case on a Switch 2.
There's also a report feature, of course, and I think as part of the like a recent privacy policy update, Nintendo said that like the last, basically that they have the ability to monitor game chats, and I think it's for
reporting purposes. Yeah, that makes sense.
So the one thing I wonder with this is if you'll be able to use Google Voice numbers, or or if you won't, because I have a Google Voice number that I use for some purposes, and some websites, some apps allow you to use Google Voice numbers, and some of them don't. And it feels like one of the things where I guess I'm hoping that Nintendo does not allow you to.
Right. Because you can basically just although like you can get like a burner phone, right? And they like have a phone number that way.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Because like, how do they verify that you have the phone, right? Like, or do they? I assume that they would like send a text to it, and you have to like verify, whatever the code is, or if there's like two-factor authentication.
That's my assumption as well, is that you'll have to like enter a code.
And with a Google phone number, is that a textable phone number?
Oh, it is.
Okay. Well, then never mind. But yeah, if it's more, well, yeah, who knows?
Switch 2 being close means that Mario Kart World is also very close, and as part of the PR blitz build up to the system and the game's release, Nintendo released an Ask the Developer, all about Mario Kart World, and there were some fun little tidbits that came out of that. We learned that Mario Kart World was originally in development on the like classic Switch.
Yeah, and that development began basically immediately after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was released. So the game has been in development, Mark, for how long? Forever.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And they talk a little bit about in Ask the Developer that when it was originally in development on Switch with the intention of like releasing on Switch, because they also felt like, hey, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where do we go from here? Which is something
Right.
that you've expressed in the past. This is kind of as far as we can take this classic Mario Kart formula. But that they were in 2020, development changed over to what would become the Switch 2, and that the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pack was the thing that kind of,
Yes.
like
Stopgap
yeah,
solution
the
there.
stopgap solution. So why did they switch over to the Switch 2? Basically, the ambition for Mario Kart World was so big. They had so many things that they wanted to do, including, like keep it at 60 frames per second, graphical fidelity, that while they were still focused on the Switch, they had to like whittle away, compromise on all these different areas
Right.
to try to get it running.
There's a little quote here that I pulled like a bunch, but there's just like a little one from Kenta Sato, who's one of the programmers on the game, who was saying, I think there were a lot of people who on the team who were worried about whether or not we could manage it. But once we decided to release the game on Switch 2, we expected our worries to evaporate all at once. I remember being overjoyed when I discovered we could express even more than we originally set out to. Really speaking highly of like the performance of Switch 2 and like what that thing can actually do, especially as compared to the original Switch.
They also talked some about the expanded cast of racers that are coming to Mario Kart World for the first time, and how like they drew from NPCs from the game previously. So Masaaki Ishikawa said that each new Mario Kart game features new characters to race with, but since we added so many to the previous game, we wondered where we could go from there. And then one of the designers came up with that silly sketch of Cow cruising along, and I thought to myself, this is it. So that's when we realized the course surroundings actually contained a lot of untapped resources.
Which is kind of adorable, just to be like, yeah, wait a minute, why aren't we using the whole buffalo? Like all of these guys can go in the game and be playable characters.
And they included the drawing that they talked about that inspired including all of these different characters, and it really is just kind of an adorable drawing of that Mario Kart cow contentedly, in seen in like driving a truck essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it all just, and I know like that they are they're selecting these stories to go out as PR and publicity for this game, but it's amazing how wholesome all this sounds.
I know. Yeah, I am very excited for Mario Kart World. I feel like it has. Do you think? I guess there won't be reviews of it when the Switch 2 lands, right?
I mean, I don't think so.
Outlets aren't getting their Switch 2s until just before launch or at launch with everybody else.
I mean, but just before launch does sort of constitute, now, like they could be in hands of reviewers now. But
I guess so. I mean, we thought that before, and it turned out to not be
true.
the case.
It's true.
So
yeah, we don't know.
But yeah, I mean, that feels especially interesting for like Mario Kart World. I guess we'll all just be discovering what that game is together,
which is even cooler, frankly.
What's next for Pikmin? And could it possibly be a movie?
Could it be a movie?
In a recent interview with IGN, Shigeru Miyamoto talked about his focus on the series in recent years. He said, quote, I spent a lot of time the past 5-6 years really wanting to grow Pikmin. Obviously, a lot of that is focused around Pikmin Bloom, and there was also new Pikmin titles that released.
I love that, even like it doesn't matter the context. Miyamoto's gonna bring up Pikmin Bloom.
And
thank you for your service, Miyamoto.
And the IGN interviewer talked about how, like, with his family, they like to watch those animated, like Pikmin cartoons that they released during the 3DS era.
Right. And that were originally in 3D and directed by Miyamoto.
Right. And the interviewer asked directly about the possibility of a Pikmin movie. Miyamoto said, quote, obviously I can't say yes or no here, but I really see Nintendo as sort of like a talent agency, and we have within our roster a lot of talented characters. So we create a game with a certain gameplay concept, gameplay experience, and then we look at the roster and see who would best fit this gameplay concept or experience. So looking at things from that perspective, I think Pikmin has a lot of potential to be used in many different occasions. When you're looking at small kids, they have a certain appeal for things that are cute, and when they grow older, maybe in their 20s, they start to lose appeal for that. But I think Pikmin has this unique ability to have appeal across a broad range, and that it's still appealing for both younger audiences and older audiences and in Japan. And so I'm hoping that we can expand that globally. So whether it's some kind of a movie or show, things like that would be really fun.
It is interesting that he's identifying this like core thing about Pikmin, that they are very cute, but that like it's also something that like the like gamer heads within like the Nintendo ecosystem latch onto, because the games are like challenging or sort of strategy based or like kind of tacticsy, and that like if you want to play them at like a high level, it can be a like deep rewarding thing like that. So it can be both a like mature person's game and a like cute kid thing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like they are cute, I guess, but not like traditionally. Like they're not like saccharine. They're not like
Yeah, right.
Kirby or something,
Right.
where it's so obviously like cute and appealing. Like
Yeah.
they're weird. The world of Pikmin is really weird. But I remember my husband, who doesn't play video games at all, he was interested, I think, like one time in trying out Tetris 99. And so we set up a like Switch 2 user, or sorry, a Switch account
Yes.
on my
right.
Switch, and he like chose his icon, and he was drawn to the Pikmin. He thought the Pikmin
Yeah.
like was so cute. So yeah, they're interesting, weird little bug-like things, but there is something very appealing about them.
I was as I think we talked about it on the show, that the Miyamoto Pikmin shirt, the one that is like the white shirt with
Yeah.
with a big green P on it. I have that shirt now. I bought it a couple weeks ago, and I wore it the other day heading out to IKEA. And a kid, probably like 11 or 12, just said like, "Hey, I like your Pikmin shirt." So it's like the kids know Pikmin.
I love that Miyamoto made a concerted effort
Yeah.
to be like, no, this is going to be one of my lasting legacies. Is
Right.
I'm going to make Pikmin a thing. Like I'm going to take it upon myself to like
Yes.
make Pikmin a thing.
And like I don't know if we're there yet, right? Like Pikmin is like, it's a pillar of Nintendo's, but it's sort of like a pillar that they're propping up, right? And I don't know that it has like totally reached through to the mainstream yet, but like I think we're almost there.
Well, and I think in Japan it is bigger than it is anywhere else. Like but yeah, I mean like like I think Pikmin 4 is the best selling, like
Right.
Pikmin game. Like for sure it's not Animal Crossing or even Animal Crossing before New Horizons.
Right.
Do you know what
sure,
I mean?
yeah.
Like I think it's still nascent, but the amount that they've been able to like turn it into a thing for Nintendo
Right.
is pretty remarkable.
It's still like a step above like Metroid, for example,
right.
in like their ability to make it a thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
IGN also had a feature up about Chris Maple, the designer behind the Pokemon logo, which includes a little bit about the mystery behind the project when he was working on it.
And like the sort of rushed nature of it.
Yes, so Maple's design business, Media Design, specialized in quick turnaround designs for businesses in the Seattle area. And Maple was contacted by then Nintendo of America president Minoru Arakawa, and he was brought into their office in Redmond. Some quotes from Maple. Quote, Arakawa said they're going to be launching a game officially in the United States and Europe. The only problem is the prior agencies they've tried out for the situation, meaning like creating the logo, didn't quite hit the mark, and they burnt the budget and time element. Are you okay with that? And I go, yeah, sure. It's going to cost a penny.
What do you think that means, by the way? Do you think he's being sarcastic, or do you think he's actually...
Right, like, did he literally do it for...
Did he literally do it for a penny?
Yeah,
I don't... Or was that like him saying like, don't worry, it won't cost you that much?
Right.
Or do you think he's being sarcastic there and be like, yeah, oh, yeah, sure, it's going to cost you a penny?
I don't know.
What's
I don't
happening
know.
there?
Continuing the quote. So this other person, she comes down and she has a little cardboard box, and she dumps all these toys and pieces of paper and weird drawings and things all in front of me on the table. And I'm looking at them, and she's standing there with a smirk on her face holding the box. And I'm looking at Mr. Arakawa, and he's just staring straight at me. And I go, what is this? And he goes, it's a pocket monster. And I said, oh, what's a pocket monster? He goes, "It's Pokemon. We're going to call it Pokemon."
Incredible. So, Pokemon exist in Japan as pocket monsters at this point, and they're going to be releasing it worldwide. And they're like, all they have like to show to someone that they're going to work with to design this logo, which I guess they don't know at the time is going to be a worldwide phenomenon that's going to be the most revenue generating IP in history. And they're just like, yeah, we've got some toys and like some drawings on paper.
Yeah, so Maple ended up designing the logo in a month, and because it had to be ready for the reveal of Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue at E3 1998. Didn't have access to the game, and there were certain requirements for the logo. Had to be suitable to display on a black and white Game Boy screen,
And also in color, on boxes and stuff like that.
and the article is worth checking out. It also has like other rejected logo sketches. Um, bef- Before they finally settled on the one that we all know now.
And logo generation, especially as it's like being freelance, is always like kind of a an annoying thing for designers, right? That like, but it's amazing that this had to come together so fast and then becomes the face of what Pokemon is. Like, kind of like, obviously Pikachu is like the character face, but just you can picture the typeset and like exactly how the Pokemon logo looks, and like it captures that like fun and has like Pokeballs in it and just feels like Pokemon. It's a great logo.
This just kind of reinforces to me what I believe to be about true of the structure of Nintendo, where it's like there's Nintendo like Ltd or whatever that's in Japan and is the mothership of Nintendo, and then under that is in importance is Nintendo of America, who seems like the go-to for, at least at the time, for like the rest of the world.
Right.
Nintendo of America is
how do we sell this outside
is
of
kind
Japan?
of setting a lot of that, and then like then probably like Nintendo of Europe is underneath that, and like maybe other subsidiaries. But it seems like the fact that Nintendo of America was tasked with coming up with the Pokemon logo, and then that is what has been used, like worldwide. I wonder if that's changed in recent years as Nintendo has consolidated more and more decision making around marketing in Japan. I don't know.
I mean, it's also sort of interesting to consider that like the NOA president at the time, Arakawa, that sounds like a Japanese name, right? Like that they had a Japanese guy in there, whereas we obviously know Reggie Fils-Aimé was in there for a long time, an American, and Doug Bowser currently.
But wasn't there a time even when Reggie was there that Iwata was also like, he was president of Nintendo, but he was also like and I'm just half remembering this, but that he was also like had a titled role at Nintendo of America.
Oh, that's interesting.
For a period as well.
Maybe Iwata is such a strange figure in Nintendo president history, because like he's a developer and a programmer, and like that's not normally part of that role. And is also like a very like front facing in a way that like Furukawa isn't now. And it's just like I sort of feel like he was an everything guy. In a way that will probably never be repeated.
A new trademark has been filed for Hotel Dusk Room 215. Usually Japanese trademarks like this are for renewals to protect lapsing trademarks, but this was a new filing.
Yes, which implies something, and we don't know what.
So Hotel Dusk Room 215, it was a Nintendo DS game that was developed by Sing, the same developers as Another Code, and published by Nintendo in 2007. I've actually never played this series. There was also a sequel on the Nintendo DS.
But this is your kind of game,
It
though, right?
totally is my kind of game. So yeah, another note, in Japan, the game was called Wish Room. So this filing in Japan is notable because it's the international name. There was a hack recently of Arc System Works, and which is a Japanese developer that has a lot of former Sing employees there now, And Arc System Works was the developer of Another Code Recollection, the collection of the Another Code games that released on Switch in 2024, the beginning of 2024.
Yes, that's right.
And so does this, as part of that leak, there, was mention of a Switch 2 game. And so could that Switch 2 game be a Hotel Dusk collection or a remake of the first Hotel Dusk game or
a
something
new
like that?
one,
Or a new one.
Who knows?
Yeah. Did they greenlight, like Another Code Recollection and this Hotel Dusk
right at the same time,
like collection
right.
at the same time? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what this is. But yeah, 100%. Especially since I ended up liking Another Code Recollection, I would for sure pick up something like this. Finally, Tetris 99 received an update to version 2.5.0 over the weekend. But all this update seems to do is make certain themes that were previously rewards for participating in the Tetris 99 Maximus Cups purchasable with game tickets.
Yeah, so this is something that they had done before, but then stopped like updating it with the newer themes as they've released more Tetris Maximus Cups. So you can spend the game tickets. You can earn up to 4 game tickets a day by fulfilling different little missions that they give you at the beginning of the day. And you can spend 30 tickets to reclaim one of them.
Yeah, I'd honestly just assumed that as soon as a Maximus Cup ended, it was added to the store for you to be able to unlock it with tickets, but obviously that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I think it's not the case because they want those to feel special for a little bit, that like you have to participate in the thing in order to get the themes. It's been not that long since the last one of these. Like there was a Xenoblade Chronicles X one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So and a Donkey Kong Country Returns. So they've done 2 of them this year. So that's which is as many games as they've put out so far this year. Think about that for a second. But yeah, and it makes me wonder if like them doing that is because again they've done it before, so maybe no need to like go into panic mode. But like, will we see other Tetris Maximus Cups? Are we nearing the end of that?
Right. Who knows? But I'm kind of seemingly they're going to continue supporting Tetris 99.
Yeah,
as
I love
part
that.
of the Switch too. So like, why end them?
Why stop that? Yeah. Well, we I didn't mention it in what we've been playing, but like both Sarah and I this weekend have been playing Tetris 99, and it was, I don't know how I tricked her back into playing it again, but it's been fun to just like hand the controller back and forth and see who can get further. All right, Mark, that's gonna do it for the news. So let's close this out. And therefore, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much for listening here. Join our Discord if you haven't already. Email us, and I will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers, saying thank you for listening.